This is the Xiaomi 13 Photography Edition, and I think I just found the perfect camera for street photography. And today we're going to go through a deep dive on the cameras versus what I used to use, the iPhone 14 Pro. And rest assured, this is not a sponsor review, so I'm going to give you my honest opinion. Now, for those who don't know, this is this year's Xiaomi's flagship phone. But before we go into the photos, I just want to tell you my user experience and its ergonomics and what I like and don't like from its everyday use. First of all, this is the photography kit, so it does come with an extra hand grip. This is Bluetooth, by the way, so the bonus of this is that you are able to use it as a remote control to do selfies, or you can just slide it onto your phone, lock it into place, and you've got a handheld camera. Now, it does come with a zoom dials. One tap and it zooms to the next incremental stage. So from 1x zoom to 2x to 3.2 to 5x. The shutter button is incremental, 2 stages. The first stage is focus, second stage is actually taking the photo. If you do hold on to this, you're able to quick access your camera through the lock screen, which makes it really convenient just taking a photo. And if you do hold on to it, it is continuous shooting. For the first time, we are using 50 megapixels for the all 4 camera lenses. We have the ultra wide, we have the wide, which is the main camera, and now we also have the zoom and the telephoto. It does feel a slightly top heavy due to the camera setup, but overall, I think it's well balanced. Now, the vegan leather case, this comes with the photography kit. It is very good and it's very grippy. Now, the phone does get very hot, especially with the cover on. So if you play a lot of games, it's gonna get hot. Now, personally, I think Xiaomi has done a fantastic job in positioning this phone for everyday use, for someone who likes to take photos and share it on social media. Keep in mind, social media, okay? So you don't have to do post-processing, you don't have to beautification, smooth your skin for the girls out there. Basically, just point and shoot, and the processing power combined with the Leica filters makes the camera really good, just straight out of camera. Don't believe me? Have a look. These are a couple of photos that I've taken using the camera. Compare that with the same shot taken with the iPhone, all of which are straight from the camera, unedited, and I think they look great. Now, the color rendition here might not be as accurate, especially if you're using the Leica vibrant settings where the colors do pop out a little more, but it is pleasing to the eye, nothing too overly sharp, and I think it's very clean. Especially in well-lit areas, look at the whites. They're very clean, very crispy. I think that's what really pops through the photos. Now, the Leica Classic do mute the colors a little bit, less saturation. It does slightly have that film look, but I do prefer the vibrant, especially for Instagram or social media. Now, one thing I did find is that the processing power during direct sunlight shots, you can see that some of the photos are a little bit washed out. The camera tends to push the shadows and lower the highlights. I think it's an attempt to give that HDR look, which I don't really like because it does look processed. But most of the time it's fantastic and the image are fairly sharp. Now, looking at the daytime shots, let's compare with an iPhone. Now, this is shot using the ultra wide at 11mm. You can see here Xiaomi wins in terms of detail. There is chromatic aberration evident in both cameras, a slight tinge of blue on the branches, but overall I think Xiaomi is much more detailed and there's no surprise here. Moving up to the main 23mm, Xiaomi once again wins. Clearer image, more color pop and definition. Now, as we move up 75mm, I think the result speaks for itself. Xiaomi is definitely going to win here, given that it has dedicated cameras for both zoom and telephoto. As you can see here on the 120mm, very clear photos, very detailed, and even at 2400mm, Xiaomi is still clear. Now, digital zoom, Xiaomi goes all the way up to 120 times. I think this is more of a marketing stunt, but at 2800mm, it is very blurry. And here what it looks like on the iPhone at maximum zoom. Now, human subject. Xiaomi has always prone to give processing power, beautification, smoothing of the skin. I think most of its target audience do prefer this kind of look, but let's have a look. Both photos are very good, but Xiaomi color processing makes it just feel a little bit more better. It isn't necessarily accurate, but it does lift the dark shadows and it's more pleasing to the eyes. Next, we have portrait mode. At any range, just click and snap and the results are great. The camera do tend to balance out the photos. Now, unfortunately, in this case, the subject does look a little bit dark. However, when zoomed in, they do look very good. I tried using the Leica Classic as well. There seemed to be some vignetting when you're using the 2.3 and the 3x zoom. This is more of a stylistic choice. I don't think you can turn this off, but I don't mind it. There is also a 90mm telephoto black mist mode. Too much glow for my liking. I think you cannot turn this off, but personally I think the optimal range is the 2.3 or the 3x, so 50 to 75mm for the portrait mode, and it do come out really well. There is one problem, and you can see here. I think iPhone calculation is slightly better, but overall I don't see much of a difference. Especially with this fountain, you can see both camera does a fairly good job at really depicting the subject and then blurring the background. But of course, this is portrait mode, so everything is post-processed, so it's artificially added in. If you do want that genuine depth of field, bokeh, professional camera look, try using the main camera. Check this out. This is just a quick snap of my arm, and you can see the definition and the separation between my hair and the background. It is very good. Next, I tried the macro. Now this is very interesting. Hands down, I think the iPhone wins here. I was having trouble shooting with the Xiaomi, getting as close to my subject as I would like. You can see here, side-by-side comparison, the iPhone just does a much better job using its wide-angle macro shot. Now, before going to the videos, let's look at night photography, and I think this is really where the Xiaomi shines. A bigger sensor, does it equal bigger light? Well, I think it does. I think all 4 cameras destroys the iPhone, especially the ultra-wide. As you know, the iPhone do tend to lack in the ultra-wide, especially at night. But if you do like nighttime photography, architectural photography at night, just check out these photos. It does automatically switch to night mode when the light gets dark. It does add a little bit of that process look, bringing back the highlights and lifting the shadows, more of a HDR look. But overall, I think the Xiaomi photos does look great. Another thing to note, if you're using classic or vibrant, the colors do come out a little bit different. Vibrant tends to bring down the highlights and really show the colors, but sometimes a little bit more saturated, especially with fluorescent lights, you're seeing a little bit of chromatic aberration or halo around the lights. It's not perfect, but it's there. Now, ghosting is evident, especially at night with all mobile phones, and Xiaomi is no exception, especially using the longer telephoto zoom, a lot of ghosting, a lot of flares, so you really have to be careful where you shoot. But I think the optimal range, like I said, is using the main camera, the ultra wide, and even the zoom lens. I think it does a fantastic job. Selfie cameras. Unfortunately, this time Xiaomi only gave us a 1080p for the selfie cameras, which I don't know why, whereas you can shoot 8K on the back-facing cameras. But does it look good? Here's a side-by-side comparison. It has less contrast, so a bit more flat versus the iPhone, but I think this does work well, especially for me. You know, it hides my eye bags. If you do want the extra smoothness, this is what it looks like with beautification turned on. So let's talk video. Now, this has always been a strong side for the iPhone. How does it compare? Let's start with the selfie camera at 1080p. It lifts the shadows, overall a good balance of image. However, if you're outside, there is a problem of under or overexposed. It does prioritize subject as the main priority, so if you're in a well-lit or really bright background, the sky will be blown out, as you can see right now. But of course, you can manually select this and then make adjustments, but it's just the way the program is calculated, so I think this is the win for the iPhone right now. Turning the camera around now, we're in Xiaomi's territory. It does shoot 8K up to 24 frames per second, so that cinematic look, but I think here is a side-by-side comparison. I think both in terms of detail, not much of a difference. I prefer to shoot in 4K just to save on file size because 8K does get very, very big. Here's a wide angle shot of the 4K versus the iPhone. I think we have a much more clarity, you have more details, and I think this is very similar with across the range with its lenses. Likewise, using the 23mm main camera versus the iPhone, you let me know which one you think is more clearer. And then if we move up to the telephoto and the zoom lens, I think we can see a clear winner on the Xiaomi as well. Now, focus is very quick and accurate on the Xiaomi for both photo and video. You can see here, you're able to switch between foreground and background with a quick tap on the screen, so it's able to detect your subject. Very good and very accurate. You also have the option of subject tracking, so you can select a subject and lock onto that while you're moving, and the camera will automatically lock and focus on that subject while you're shooting. Stabilization, I think both does a very good job with stabilization if you're not running. Here's a vlog selfie test using the camera. You can see both are very smooth, okay? However, there is a bit of a stutter of a subject with the Xiaomi. I think this is less evident on the iPhone. Both are evident, but I think this is the processing power of the selfie cameras, and unfortunately Xiaomi doesn't do a great job if you do a lot of movement, a lot of running. Now, using the front main camera stabilization, both are very good, very smooth when walking, but running causes shutter for both of these phones. Xiaomi does have an extra stabilization mode, but it does crop the image fairly heavily, so I prefer using the normal stabilization Pro, but it does a fairly good job. Now, how do they compare at night? Personally, I think you need good lighting, otherwise it will fail here for the Xiaomi. Under good lighting, using the main camera, you're able to shoot very good, very stabilized videos with good audio. In fact, the quality is so good while you're shooting, you can use the toggle switch on my camera to zoom in and zoom out to the subject and look at the bokeh, the depth of field. It is amazing. Now, the bokeh does change to a square shape if you're using a telephoto lens, but that's because of the cover the way it's designed, okay? But overall, I think this is very good, very clean, and very crispy. However, when the lighting is low, the Xiaomi fails in video quality. Here I try to do the same testing using all 4 different lenses. In fact, while I was zooming, it wasn't able to automatically switch lenses like I did before. I don't know if this is a setting thing or something I've done wrong, but it just seemed to be stationed on the main camera. Do let me know in the comments if you experienced the same thing or something I've done is wrong. 2 other features I really like for vlogs on the Xiaomi is a teleprompter. So you're able to enter your text or your Word document, and as you're doing self-recording, it will display on the screen and you can see your text. The second thing is subtitles. So you can turn this on. As you can see right now, it's able to detect both my audio in both Chinese and English, and it does a fairly good job at depicting the language. You can also edit this in post and then just make adjustments to the incorrect wording. I think camera phones have come a long way, especially what Xiaomi have done this time. I'm really impressed. The ease of use, the versatility of its zoom lenses, as well as the color, the crispiness, the pop of subjects, I think it just makes it really worthwhile just taking this out, point and shoot, and post it straight on your social media. If you're into everyday photography and if you only had one phone, I think Xiaomi 13 Ultra is definitely a phone you should check it out. Maybe until the iPhone 15 comes out. But until then, I think I'll be sticking with this for another few more months. Thank you for staying to the end. If you like these kind of videos, there will be more coming, first-hand, honest reviews here from Tech Talk. My name's George. I'll see you next one.